Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, November 17th. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Up to the Minute. I'm Sade Campbell, the Enrollment Communications and Social Media Manager here at Houston Community College. And today I'm joined by my co-host, Parrish Murphy, who is going to tell everyone how to find us.
Greetings and salutations, Ms. Campbell. How are you today?
We are 1 week down from Mama Campbell cooking.
Stay bad. Ready for food.
Terrible.
We are live here on Houston Community College District Facebook page. We're also on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We're on LinkedIn, Instagram, and we're also on HCCTV at noon, 5, and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Well, we are looking forward to spotlighting HCC's paralegal department and the jobs it. Oh, did you say something, Parrish?
I said absolutely. Great show today. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to spotlighting HCC's paralegal department and the jobs in that field. To join us to do so, we have Ronald Esposito on, who's the program coordinator. Good morning, Ronald.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good morning. You and Parrish are going to have an awesome conversation in just a second. But first, it is National Native American Heritage Month, and we are seeking knowledge from an expert with the Smithsonian, but also who is also a descendant of 2 war chiefs. Joining us to discuss this is Dennis Zotigh. He's a cultural specialist for the Smithsonian's National Museum of the American Indian. Thanks for joining us, Dennis.
Thank you for having me here today, Sade.
Yes, we look forward to hearing about 2 museums, one in DC and New York. But I want to acknowledge, I said, man, on my mind, we are a week away from the holiday break that observes Thanksgiving. And I said, you know what, Sade? Get it together. We are also recognizing National American Indian Month or National Native American Month. But I want to acknowledge that could have been a little insensitive because we need to really dig into the history of that. So my apologies.
Oh, that's fine.
And so let's get into kicking things off to help people better understand your lived experience and expertise. Tell us a little bit about your background and which tribes you're a descendant of.
Again, my name is Dennis Zotigh, and my last name is a Kiowa Indian name. I am 3 tribes: Kiowa, Isanti, Dakota, and Okewenge Pueblo. I serve as a cultural specialist for the Smithsonian National Museum of the American Indian, and I also write for Smithsonian Magazine.
Phenomenal. And for those who do not know, tell us about the significance of Native American Heritage Month and why it is so important to continue commemorating it.
I think representation is very important. Often in times, America doesn't talk about Indians in its national forum. And when there are no natives at the big round table, our voices will not be heard. I think National Native American Heritage Month shares a strong, powerful message to our country, the United States of America, that we are still here.
And do you know if there was any significance about why it's commemorated in November?
I think it is often associated with Thanksgiving and a lot of the activities that occurred in our history.
Thank you for sharing that. And, one of the best ways and where people can start of learning more about people's experiences and their history is, of course, the museum. And what are some of the museum's programs to celebrate and commemorate this month?
Okay, I'd like to first say that when people say the Smithsonian, there are actually 20 different museums. 3 of these facilities are National Museum of the American Indian. We have a museum in New York City, in Lower Manhattan, on the Mall in Washington, D.C., and we also have a special holding facility where we have almost 1 million objects from Native American history located in Suitland, Maryland. And so I'd like to get started. I have the Native Cinema Showcase, and all of these films are on demand, and this takes place November 18th through 15th. And these are films showcasing Indigenous filmmakers from across the Western Hemisphere. And so as a National Museum, we represent all Indigenous people and groupings from the entire Western Hemisphere. And then we have a film screening called Imaging the Indian, Fight Against Native American Mascotting. And this will take place in 2 days on November 19th in the mall, in our theater here in Washington, D.C.
And I think, definitely one of the fights that a lot of people are familiar with for your community is around the mascotting and respecting the communities and the imaging around what we have associated or almost just desensitized to what an American Indian looks like. And I'm sure that the cinema showcase will highlight a lot of other things that the community has at the forefront.
That is correct.
All right. So, and you mentioned a little bit, so that is what people can come see in person. What online resources can people access when they visit the museum?
When people cannot visit the museum, they can go online and visit a website we have. All you have to put is NMAI, put it on a search engine, and it'll come to the National Museum of the American Indian. One of our great resources is the Native Knowledge 360 program, which is an education online virtual program for teachers and educators. And it shares stories, curriculum, STEM modules that teachers all around the United States can use that were produced by Native people.
Phenomenal. And do you have any exhibitions? I think I heard about DC at your New York location.
Yes, we have two. We have two locations in New York. We have Developing Stories, which is an exhibition about Native photographers in the field. And this will be taking place now through March 12th, 2023. And we also have exhibitions in Washington, D.C. Over this past weekend, we recently opened and dedicated with a large procession the National Native American Veterans Memorial, which is located right in front of the National Museum of the American Indian on the property. We had approximately 7,000 visitors and Native people from all across the country, from Alaska to Florida, who participated in this processional. The actual dedication was right in the mall with the nation's capital in the background. And we also have an exhibition on our second level in Washington, D.C. called Why We Serve. And this is a Native Americans in the this talks about Native Americans in the United States in the armed forces. And then also we have the Preston Singletary exhibit called Raven and the Box of Daylight, which is on now through January 29, 2023. And this is a fabulous exhibit about the Tlingit of Alaska and their creation story told through glass art.
Phenomenal. And for those who are, looking to be more intentional about, learning more about the history, respecting the history, what do you think is a really good call to action during this commemorative month?
I think actually coming to the Native Knowledge 360, because it's pretty comprehensive about our histories told by Native people.
And if you want to learn about someone, you have got to listen to the voices of those people. Dennis, we thank you so much for coming on and sharing resources that are available. Dennis Zotigh is a cultural specialist for the Smithsonian's Natural Museum of the American Indian. We'll have his information and information about the museums posted after the show. Thanks so much for joining us, Dennis.
And thank you very much, Sade. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Well, Parrish, I'm going to kick it over to you.
That's awesome. Great interview. I love learning about Native history. Our real founding forefathers.
that part.
You know, that is great. Well, I have the pleasure of talking to Ronald Esposito, and he is the Paralegal Technology Program Coordinator for the Business Center of Excellence. Well, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you. This is my third time on here.
Yeah, my first time meeting you, though. It's a pleasure to meet you, Ronald.
Pleasure to meet you, and it's good to be on here to give everybody information about my program.
Great. Now, spring registration has already started, and we wanted to be sure to spotlight your program. So let's start out with the degrees and certificates that you guys offer.
All right. We have 2 certificates, a 5-class certificate, which can be completed in less than a year if you go in the summer. And we have a 10-class certificate, which certainly can be completed in a year. You'd have to go both semesters plus the summer. Actually, the 5-class could be completed in a semester and maybe part of the summer. I also have an AAS degree. That's an Associate of Applied Science. That is a 60-hour degree. It's 20 courses, 14 of which are paralegal, 6 are academic, such as accounting, composition, psychology, English. That's all included in there. And that degree is transferable to the University of Houston. Now, these certificates, if a person doesn't want to take a 2-year degree, they could get one of these certificates. And if they decide to go further, every class they're taking in the certificate transfers up into the AAS. So they don't waste anything. So they can do the 5, then the 10, and then get the AAS if they want to go that far.
Great. Now, how long are the classes to complete?
We usually run them 16 weeks. So they run in a full semester. In the summer, however, they only run 5 weeks. There are occasionally times when students need a class and we put in either a second start, or even this semester, we're running an 8-week class. We don't do that often, but to help out students who need a particular class, if we can get enough students to make that class, we will run either a second start or an 8-week. And we're running both a second start and an 8-week this semester because our attendance has been going up ever since the restrictions off COVID have become lessened.
Great. Now, what about the cost of the programs?
So it's if you're in district, it's very, very economical. It's running about $235 a class. So if you divide that by 3, you get a very inexpensive hourly rate compared to some schools. If you're out of district, it's about $200 more than that. So if you're in district, it's very, very economical compared to some of the other programs in town and some of the other things being run by the school. So we try to make it that way. We also try to accommodate the students for the cost of books. We understand that books cost a lot, so we try to use as many online books, as many books as are in freeware that we can get to help the students with the cost of books.
Okay. Now, I had the pleasure of earlier this week of going to the auto school, and I was really impressed and amazed at the instructors that they had there because they were smart. They'd been in the industry and they had practical application to actually teach the kids. I was just wondering about your instructors. Are they lawyers?
All right. Now, every one of my instructors are a lawyer. They're required to be. When I took over this program, I was made to understand that anybody who wanted to teach in the program needed to be a licensed attorney and have been licensed for 3 years. Most of mine have been licensed for way more than 3 years. Now, I have control over basically what they teach, although, I talk to them. They are all teaching in the areas where they practice. And as you probably know, if you're an attorney, you can't practice in all areas. It's so different in every area. There's so many changes, you just can't keep up. So my teachers practice in the areas that they do 90% of their practice in. So they're up to date. They're up to date, of course, on their CLE because they have to maintain their license. So the students are getting knowledge that is practical and up to date.
That's great. Now, let's talk about what everyone cares about, jobs. Now, tell us what's available once they receive their certificates or they actually get their degrees.
Jobs are no problem. However, I caution my students, you've got to have computer skills in this business. You don't have computer skills, you better get them. And one of my electives is one of the computer classes offered through HCC. There are a multitude of jobs. All of the law firms have paralegals. Houston is the second largest Fortune 500 company city in the country. We have many Fortune 500 companies in the city. They all have legal departments. They all have to deal with the rigors of law within their company. So they all hire. So we have corporations, we have individual lawyers, and entities such as I have students that are working for the IRS. I even have students that are working for the FBI. Now, I don't know about the CIA, but FBI and the IRS, I have students working for that. I have students also in the United States Attorney's Office here. We have a local office here. I have 2 students that are working as United States Attorney Secretaries for that with their paralegal degree. So jobs are plentiful. That's not a problem. It's just you have to have those basic skills as well as the training and knowledge we give them in paralegal to go forward.
That's great. You mentioned some government jobs. What are some of the other jobs that paralegals may consider?
Besides corporations, individual attorneys, some want to open their own practice and be a private paralegal and just market their services. That's very difficult to do, especially since if you don't work for anybody, you're not getting vacation or benefits, but they can do that. They can hang up their own shingle and sell out their paralegal services to various entities. That's about all I can think of at the moment, but of the 2 I've mentioned.
But they're plentiful.
They are plentiful. If you look on even Facebook, if you look on the attorney side on Facebook, everybody's always looking for a paralegal. There's a big turnover in this business. Paralegals are moving up from one thing to another as they learn things. So the jobs are plentiful. I can guarantee you that.
Now, what advice do you give our students on how to get jobs once they finish their classes?
Well, I'm always talking to students and they're telling me, well, I sent out 50 resumes and I didn't hear back from one. And I said, that's going to happen. What I advise you to do is that you go to a temporary agency and tell them you want to work temp to perm. That means you might get a placement, and tell them you want to work at a law firm and tell them you want to work either downtown or say in the Galleria where those jobs are plentiful. I say, if you do that, probably the 3rd placement you get, if they see what you know and what you're able to give them or benefit for them, you will be able to get a job in the field. But you're going to have to limit it to law firms if that's where you want to stay. Now, a lot of my paralegals, when they get the degree, they know so much, they could be an administrative assistant. They don't necessarily have to be in the paralegal industry. They can use what knowledge we give them to be an administrative assistant to these multitude of corporations in this city. So that's available to them. But I think the easiest way to break in is to go to a temporary agency. They will test your skills and then they will market you. And that way. There's also headhunters out there, but you're going to have an impressive resume. And some of my students really do. After they start working for a few years, they could go to a headhunter and they could be placed. So that's a good way to get a job as well.
Great. What makes a good paralegal, Ron?
Computer skills and able to communicate with clients, courts, and their supervisors, of course, as well as knowledge of the law. So all three of those. And as far as what we try to give them, we try to give them knowledge of the law and make sure they have computer skills, or at least tell them what they need. After they do that, after they're in the program for a while, they seem to develop more confidence, and that's what they need: confidence and ability, the willingness to speak. Some students that I have in my class don't want to get up in front of the class and talk. And I tell them, you're going to need to do that because you're going to have to meet clients, talk to clients, and talk to court. So you're going to have to be vocal and be able to talk and communicate with people. So we stress that. So that's what makes a good paralegal.
That's wonderful. It sounds like you got another great program here at HCC, Ron.
Thank you very much. We try our best.
Sounds good. Ron Esposito, he is the Paralegal Technology Program Coordinator for the Business Center of Excellence. We'll have his info in our post after the show. Thank you again, Ron. Please come back. We'd love to have you.
Thank you again for having me. Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, goodbye.
Miss Campbell.
Yes. Great interview. Paralegal is just a consistently good field to go into, and a lot of our students use it as that stepping stone. A lot of people don't know, hey, you can get your legal career started here at HCC.
I am so impressed with how many programs that we have here that are recession proof. I'm going to start a promotional campaign called Recession Proof. I really am. It's ridiculous. You know, from the auto industry, from the auto school to the paralegal to the culinary, we have a lot of different stuff.
From your mouth to the ears of the marketing team. I really do love it because I graduated in 2008. Peak recession of just like this generation. And then I just feel my heart feels for students that are graduating in the pandemic and the economic downturn. So I think knowing those types of things that are always going to be needed is something that should inform decision-making around where the demand is in the economy. So I completely agree.
That's wonderful. I'm glad that we offer some really good solutions for kids out there that really want to, go to college or advance their education to do better. So let's get into our announcement, shall we?
Absolutely. Well, transfer options. The last Northline campus transfer fair is happening tomorrow. The Northline campus has been hosting transfer representatives from visiting universities to answer questions about academic transfer process. But the last one is tomorrow. So you need to get in on that right before the break. It'll be hosted Friday, November 18th. It'll be hosted Friday, November 18th, featuring University of Houston downtown. We'll have a link posted after the show with more information.
Students looking for a scholarship while learning about a new culture can check out Ecuador and the inheritance of Orquídea Divina. That's called my horrible translation is that's called the Divine Orchid. 3 scholarships are available. The grand prize is $1,000 for outstanding essay, $500, outstanding project, $500. Projects are due November the 28th. That is the day that we get back from break, and we will have more information on that at our link. We'll have more at the end of the show in a link for details.
All right, where our Northwest College Students Work has their exhibition going on. The in-person exhibition features the works of Spring Branch, Katie, and A-Leaf art students, a part of our Northwest College. Also, juried awards will be given in design, drawing, painting, sculpture, and digital media. The exhibition will be up through December 2nd. It's free to check out. It is hosted at our Spring Branch Gallery. A reception and award ceremony will be happening from 2 to 4 p.m. on Tuesday, November 29th. When we return from the break, know that registration is not required. Everyone is welcome, and information will be posted after the show.
Our winter showcase and open mic night. The HCC Creative Writing Club will feature its members reading their creative work, but attendees are also welcome to share their own creative pieces during open mic night opportunity. So get your script ready. Happens 3:30 p.m. Tuesday, the 29th of November at the Northwest Campus, A-Leaf Hayes, the HCC Northwest A-Leaf Hayes campus. Check our post after the show for a link for more details. Get your script ready, Sade. Get your
All
poetry
right.
ready.
Either get your script ready or
Exactly.
get your voice ready for the vocal ensemble concert. 3 faculty members will direct this evening of choral music ranging from early Renaissance to contemporary composers. This will be happening Wednesday, November 30th for free at our HCC Central Heinen Theater. Registration is not necessary and information will be posted after the show.
Great. Spring 2023 registration is now open. HCC offers multiple spring sessions as well as a winter mini session. The spring course schedule is an in-person and online courses that's in the start dates are from December 2020 to April 2023. Our options are still available online anytime, online on a schedule, hybrid, in-person, and also in lab. To learn more about HCC programs and the start dates and options to cover costs, go to hccs.edu/apply. That is hccs.edu/apply.
All right, thank you.
Film Friday, huh? Film Friday tomorrow, huh?
It is Film Friday tomorrow. We will be welcoming back a local filmmaker, Michelle Moore, to talk about women in the industry and offer her pick for Best Film of the Year. And we'll also spotlight HCC's Wellness Center and the amenities and upcoming events planned for the spring semester. Parrish and I thank you for joining us for this edition of Up to the Minute. We will see you next time.